just things like that. And I'm not going to look at each day. I'm just going to do this for 2 years. And after 2 years, then I'll reflect if I want to make adjustments. But I think that's really important because we can be very short-sighted. And to really grow something, you're going to have good days and bad days, but you need to have a longer kind of arch to really be able to determine if what you're doing is working or not.
Hey, I'm Trent Knott with Who Dare Go There, opening your own business. And today I'm excited to have Dillon Jennings. He's one of my silent partners. And what I mean by that is I have about 3 silent partners. They're not really per se partners, but they're a very integral part of my life and my business. It's my attorney, it's my accountant, and it's my insurance agent. And today, Dillon Jennings is with us, and we're going to be talking about insurance. So before we get started, I'm going to dive into the Bible real quick, and we're going to talk because this is going to come up as well in our conversation. And today I'm reading from Proverbs 11, and it starts out in verse 2. When pride comes, then comes disgrace, but with humility comes wisdom. The integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity. Wealth is worthless in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivers from death. So, to me, it goes back, and we've talked about this before, that pride always gets in your way. And 2, the more prideful we are, the less that we seek help from others. And I learned the hard way that it's a lot easier to ask for help than thinking you can do it all on your own. So today, when we talk about insurance, I think I know it all and don't need the insurance salesperson's help, but I do, in making sure that we're all covered. So we are going to talk about that. So don't be prideful, and we're going to talk about some other things about this verse as well in the upcoming episode as we go into it. First, we're going to open up with a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this gorgeous day that you've given us. We thank you for our businesses that you've given us as well, Lord. Let us direct those in the way that we should in a godly manner. Lord, we just pray for our nation right now. We are in such distress, but we also know that you're in control and we know who we follow. And Lord, just lead us and guide us and direct us. Holy Spirit, you just open the doors that you want open and let us run through them and not be scared or afraid. Lord, just let someone hear this that needs your word and also a word from us as well. We just love you so much and forgive us of our sins. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I'm Trent Knott, again with Who Dare Go There, and today I have the privilege of introducing Dillon Jennings. Dillon is, I call him, like I said before, is one of my silent partners. And Dillon has to know everything about me, my business, almost my personal life. It gets very personal with the insurance agent. So today we're going to talk about all that, Dillon, and why an insurance agent is an important part of your business, no matter how small or how big. You tell me, Dillon, what is the importance of having an insurance agent?
Big question. Every business comes with certain risk, right? It's just a part of being in business, and every business risks are a little different. And so having an insurance agent that can understand your business, help walk through the risk associated with it, and then the coverages that you can purchase to mitigate the risk, pretty important, I would say.
So tell me, from a beginning person in insurance to me, because am I a complicated case? Let's just be honest.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say you're a complicated case. Well, your business is? Yeah, yes. I mean, there's a lot going on for sure. There's a lot going on. Lots of moving parts. The businesses aren't the same. You got restaurants, you've got entertainment, you've got sports facility, a market. Each one of those businesses are unique. The policies that are written for those different types of businesses are unique. There's hundreds of carriers. Each carrier writes coverage a little different. So yeah, there's a lot of complexity to it.
Well, let's even go into the size of our building.
I know it off the top of my head.
Okay, so absolutely. So when he says carriers, so Dillon is, and most insurance agents that you will deal with are brokers for big carriers that carry insurance. So in a building our size, which is 7 acres under roof, there's not many insurance providers that will look at our building. Is that a good?
In the insurance marketplace right now, property coverage is one of the most difficult things that carriers are dealing with right now. The storms, are crazier than ever. Building materials are expensive as ever. So yes, there's only so many carriers that would take on insuring a building that's, like you said, 7 acres under roof.
So, when they get all the information from me that is prevalent to my situation, then Dillon will take that information and then he'll go shop it out,
Sure.
basically to providers, and come back with quotes for me to go over.
Sure.
So with Dillon as being my silent partner, let me just throw you under the bus real quick. Let's just talk real life stuff, right?
Let's get it. Throw it on.
I'm not throwing you under the bus because but I want to show how important you are to my life.
Sure.
So I'm down in Georgia, Savannah, Georgia, and I rent a car, and I'm going down through there, and all of a sudden a truck loses a big metal piece off the side of the truck. It hits me in my car, my rented car, and then the truck is gone, and I'm there by myself with a wrecked car. And my first call is to Dillon. Dillon, are we covered? Because, you have the choice at the rental car place to either pick up their insurance, which from now on I will, even though our insurance covered it. The steps that I had to go through was well worth me getting the insurance from the rental car company, because I could have just said, here's your car, here's your keys, see ya. But I had to go through a lot of steps to get covered. But I called Dillon as my first call. Whenever a catastrophe happens, that's who your first call is going to be. If you're in a wreck, if something happens to your products, if something happens because of a storm, your first call is going to be to your insurance company. And it's very good to know that Dillon knows me well enough that he knows what coverages I have, and he can confidently say that I'm covered. So that's kind of how that went down. So let's assume, though, Dillon, now that we trade a lot of cars as well because of our different businesses. How often would you meet with a potential client? And I know it depends on the size of the business.
So we have a general rule of thumb, and I would tell anyone starting a business, if you're new, or if you've been in business for 30 years, 40, however many years you've been in business, several years, you want to look for someone that, generally speaking, halfway through the policy period. So most policies are written on an annual basis. So say you buy a policy on July 1st, that policy is going to last till next July 1st. And then you either renew it, find another carrier, or whatever you want to do there. But halfway through that policy period, certainly if you've been in business for a couple of years and your business is a decent size, you definitely want to have an agent that you're meeting with, review, hey, did we buy a new vehicle and forget to call? Did we sell a vehicle and forget to tell you to take it off? And hey, let's get it off there, save some premium. Review payroll, revenue, all these things factor into how your policy performs and premiums associated.
All right, let's go back just for a sec.
Go back. Yeah.
How does payroll have any influence or revenue in our business? What's that any of your business?
There's two coverages that come to mind with regard to payroll. So general liability.
Yep.
General liability being your product or your work, your operation, what it is you do, has caused damage to someone's property, or it's injured someone, and now you owe them. Right, that's general liability in a nutshell. So
let's give it in real life scenario.
Yeah. So
let's say that I'm got my truck in Magnolia Builders, and I'm towing my skid steer, and it comes off my trailer and hits somebody.
Now we're going to get complicated. That's an auto liability situation.
Okay.
But so to back up, all right, general liability.
Okay.
Let's make an easy one that most people will relate to.
Okay. Good.
So you are a plumber.
Yep.
And you go fix someone's faucet, and you leave, the faucet's fixed, and 3 weeks later, the plumbing work that you did is leaking, and it caused damage to the floor at the house because your work wasn't good.
Right.
That's a general liability claim to fix that flooring.
Gotcha.
Okay? Let's say you're a grocery store.
Okay.
And someone slips or trips walking in the front door because your door sash isn't exactly to code, and next thing you know, they're injured because they tripped, and now they're saying it's your fault. That's a general liability claim. Okay, so how does an insurance carrier know what to charge you as far as premium goes? The way they do that is often based off of revenue or payroll. Sometimes there's certain ones that if it was like an apartment complex, they might base it off of how many units you have. And the way insurance works is at the beginning of the policy, you're going to tell me, hey, I'm expecting to do $500,000 this year in revenue. And so I tell the carrier that, and then they charge you a premium. Well, at the end of the year, they're going to say, how much revenue did you actually do? Well, let's say you doubled and you did $1 million. Well, guess what? They're going to say, well, now you owe us a little bit more money.
They call that an audit.
That's an audit. So that's where it's really important, I would say, to your point, asking or your questions, like if having an agent that you're in communication with throughout the policy period, having an agent or insurance professional that's reaching out to you to say, hey, Trent, I know you just started this business. We estimated 500. We're 6 months in. What's that look like? Are y'all still tracking towards that? Yes? Okay, great. Everything's cool. Oh, no, Dillon, I'm doubled. Man, we're going to do $2 million this year. Well, let's go ahead and adjust it to where you don't get hit with any surprises. The other coverage that's really important for that would be workers' comp. So in the state of Tennessee, if you are in the construction industry, you have to have work comp.
Absolutely.
Just with one employee.
Yep.
Other industries, it's until you have 5 employees before you have to have work comp. But either way, if you have work comp, the premium's always based off your payroll. Obviously, payroll can fluctuate. So again, it's really important to have someone you can communicate with, sit down and meet with partway through the policy period, and make sure everything's on the up and up.
Let's go backwards just for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and this is a true life situation that in our general liability, that before years earlier, before I knew what was going on in the insurance world, and I came and got audited, not only workers' comp, but general liability, which is revenue and payroll. And they came in, they send agents to your building and they go over all your records, and then they say, oh, well, this is, I think at the end of the day, I owe $20,000. Do you know how devastating that is for somebody that... Yeah. I am the type that I can deal with the business as we go, but don't surprise me. I don't like surprises, which nobody does.
Yeah.
And so let's go back for a second, because I think this is important as well, because most people are going to say that instead of me doing $500,000 a year, I'm going to do 200 because my rates are going to be cheaper. But then as we go through, I see I need to extend that. But let's say I started off high and I said I'm going to do $500,000 this year, and it goes throughout the whole year and I do $200,000.
Sure.
Do I get a refund?
Absolutely. If you say you renew with that same carrier, they'll credit that towards your next policy period. If you wanted a check, oftentimes they could just cut you a check back for that amount. But you definitely get a credit back.
Okay, let's take one other scenario, because there's so many scenarios.
And same on general liability.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. So let's go back to one other scenario. So we buy, like I said, we trade a lot of cars for different reasons. If we're in the irrigation business and we need a truck, we go buy a truck. How long do I have once I buy that truck? Now, if I'm financing, then they're going to make me get it right there before I leave the lot. They're
going to want proof of it.
But if I pay cash, then I'm kind of on my own to call you. How long do I have since I bought that new truck to call you? Tricky question.
So this is this very technical question. I hate to not answer it, with 100% accuracy, but I would just tell you this. The reason I can is because, for one, every policy is different.
Right.
Okay, so understand that. That's, again, why it's so important that you have a partner that you're sitting down with and understanding each policy. Most policies come with a grace period. Some of them are 2 weeks, some of them are a month. As far as, hey, you buy that truck cash and you forget to add it, a week later you get in an accident, there's a 2-week grace period, month grace. Oftentimes you'll see that. Sometimes there's not.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say.
Okay,
Yeah.
How much is my grace period? My secretary and I argue all the time. I say, I've got 30 days to get it under there.
I believe yours is 30 days. I believe yours is 30
Well,
days.
it's very important because if you don't know from your insurance agent and you forget to do that, and then all of a sudden you have a wreck, it's not covered.
It's not a good thing.
So now, Dillon, I'm in the business, and it seems like, and I'm just going to be honest,
Sure.
I'm very transparent in these things because I want people to know the more we get in, and we're in a lot of hospitality, it seems like, we have certain cases where people may fall, but it's because of a rock in the parking lot. I mean, people are looking these days. You just got to make sure. I go home every night and I sleep very well, except for last night. I got up at 12:30, but who's counting? But I sleep very well because of two things, that I have a good accountant and I have a good insurance agent.
Well, I appreciate that.
Well, I'm just telling you because I know if this building gets blown away in a tornado, that I am covered. Sometimes I pay too much for insurance, and I make sure all our bases are covered. There's, sometimes if we're in a wreck where the car is covered because the car may be too old, and
like collision coverage or comprehensive coverage.
Sometimes we make those decisions, but that's because that car's depreciated out.
And on that point, we're kind of getting all over the place.
That's
but
good.
This goes back to kind of some of the original things we were saying is, every business owner has a different risk appetite. I always ask people, what's your threshold for paying? What I mean is, at what point do you want your insurance to pay? I have business owners that say, hey Dillon, now these are big, but they're like, I don't want insurance to pay for anything unless it's over $100,000. I have some that are $5,000. I have some that are $500.
Yeah.
But everyone has a different appetite for risk. And so in this case, what you're saying is, hey, these old trucks, I don't need comp and collision coverage on them. If something happens to them, if they get stolen, it'll be all right. Now, if I run into someone else, I want the liability because I want to pay for the damage to the other person that we've, damaged. So it gets back to, instead of someone that's just like, yep, here's your policy, take it, this is the premium, and you pay it. That's not what you want. You want to sit down and go, hey, here's the policy, here's how it works. We've got this $1,000 deductible. Do you like that? Would you like less, more, What's your building worth? Does this number seem fair?
All right, so now let's say I'm starting out in a brand new business, and I have people in mind when I say this because people, again, still come up to me all the time and they ask questions. So now I have somebody coming up, they say, I'm starting this detailing business and he needs insurance. So it's not a lot, it's a small account. How does somebody find an insurance agent that will handle a small account? Because they take sometimes as much time as a big account.
It's tough.
And so how do you suggest they go look for an insurance agent?
That's a great question. I'll tell you, so within our agency, we have experienced that thing. And in all honesty, it's the same thing. Everyone's time is valuable. Your time's valuable. I mean, you're probably just like I am, just trying to squeeze out a little bit more time in the day. What we've done is we actually have a small business team. So all they do is, it would be perfect for like a detailing.
Yeah.
I think of a detailing, really what they need is a general liability policy.
Absolutely.
It's probably $1,000 or less. For me, managing, and I'm not, thank you Lord for the blessings in my business, but for me, it's hard for me to break off just a little time to do that. But I can say, hey, one of our team members in our office that's on our small business team, hey, call this guy, and they'll take care of it. Not all agencies are created that way.
Yeah.
Some are different, but that's what I've had to learn to do is kind of pass off relinquish a little bit of that. And I don't know that this is helpful, but
it absolutely is, because if I'm small, I need to know that I may not get the Dillon Jennings of the world because you have accounts that are...
I'm trying to take care of Trent.
Yeah.
And he's just calling me all the time. No,
Yeah,
I'm just
that
playing.
is true. Well, that is true, though. And I do call him all the time because, we're changing all the time, and I need to keep up with that. So I have people that report to me that gives me reason to call Dillon.
But I would say, if you call me, I need to set the agent needs to set what it is. Hey, listen, John, I really appreciate the call, because a lot of times it'll be a referral.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, Jacob told you to call me, man. I really appreciate that. I'm actually, for what you need, I'm not the one that's going to help you with that, but my friend Will, he's going to call you. And if you don't get a call back within a day or two, something's not right. I would move on.
Yeah.
You should get a call back within a day or so from that team member that I set the expectation for. So that's what I would say.
And I try to coach people, even on this show, that don't go to the insurance agent after you've already started your business. Do your homework before you start anything, because how can you do a business plan and not know what it's going to cost for your insurance?
Sure.
So even if it's a call and say, hey, I'm a detailing business, and I expect to do $28,000 this year, what is my insurance, or what do you project? You can't give me an exact answer, I get that, but what do you project, and what other insurance do I need? That way you have a basis to go on, and so when you're doing your business plan, you know to schedule out, I'm a detailing guy, I come to you, my insurance is going to be $1,200 a year. So now, can I finance that, or do I have to come up with $1,200 the day I come see you?
I would say for that size policy, most of them will offer you a monthly plan.
Okay.
Some of them would require annual.
Yep.
But you pick and choose. Yeah, there's going to be options both ways, I would think.
And to be clarified, if you do finance it, there's usually a higher rate there.
Well,
for the most part.
It's like
I remember how it was when
a lot of times they'll tack on like a $7 fee a month. So it's not a whole lot, but sure, there's a little extra.
But that's okay, because I'd rather do that than have to come up with a $1,200 when I'm first starting a business.
Absolutely.
So, because I do have referrals that people come and I say, hey, and your time is valuable, and everybody feels like, well, I'm paying for insurance, I should get and unfortunately, there are different levels of people that are being taken care of.
I'm just such a believer. It goes back to what you said. Your relationship, your partnership with your accountant, your attorney, your insurance professional, all those the foundation is trust. It really is. And so you go, well, I don't know who to trust. And so what I would tell someone starting a business is, you know somebody in the community that has a business, call them and ask them, hey, who do you use? And that's going to do two things. For one, it's going to lend, their experience is going to probably be, it's going to get credibility. But two, if someone calls me and says, hey, Trent Knott just told me to call you, I'm going, I got to help this guy, So this is a little cheat code for you, it doesn't have to be you, Trent. It could be any of my clients. If they refer me, and even if it's someone's new and small, I want to help them, because I'm like, you know what? It's the circle of life there. Now, it doesn't mean I still might not refer you to one of our people in our office that handles that size, but I'm going to say, hey, make sure we get to this person, because, it's the connections. So that's a little cheat code. I don't know if that's helpful.
It is, because, everybody wants to be heard, especially if you're starting a new business.
That's right.
And you may not can give them the time, but somebody in your office can.
And from the insurance professional side, you're right. Someone in my office can, but from the insurance professional side, and I'm not crying here, but from our side, there's plenty of times when someone just calls in that they're just trying to get quotes.
Yeah.
And so we're all fighting for time, and so we have to kind of distinguish between, hey, who wants to create a partnership and who's just trying to get quotes, because we're after partnerships too.
Absolutely.
So that's where, when it comes with a referral, hey, that's probably a little bit more of an opportunity for a partnership there. So that's helpful for them as well. So
tell me, how long have you been in insurance?
2017. So
yeah. So
7-8 years this year. So
how was your first year?
Shoot, Trent, I have been blessed, man. My first year, I was learning a ton, and I was working my tail off, but I've just been thankful. Like, God's always blessed my hard work, and so it worked out. My first year was good, but there's lots of long nights. I don't know, is that the question?
Well, there's 2 points to this question, and you answered it right off, because, in one of our other episodes with Josh from Star Spangled Brew Works, he said, even though you are an employee, you're still your own boss, which is your own little entrepreneur as well.
Sure.
And Josh says that everybody is able to do stuff we do, but not everybody is willing.
What
and
truth?
The other key point that you brought out is your hard work. If you think getting into entrepreneurship, and I keep stressing this all the time, is an easy life, it's not. So there are long nights and you have to make sacrifices, but how do you, as an entrepreneur, I'm even going to say that because you are in partners with all these other entrepreneurs and you're your own little business, but how do you separate the time for family, and how does that work with you?
That is, when I'm being real, that is one of the most difficult things that I deal with. In full candidacy.
Oh, absolutely. That's what we want.
I don't do it well, Trent, be honest, at times, because I feel like my feeling has always been my job and what I do has a great amount of flexibility. So if I have the time to go coach my son's soccer game or soccer team at 4:00 in the afternoon, I can go do that. I don't have someone telling me I can't do that, which is an amazing blessing. So with that though, I go, if Trent calls me at 7:00 at night, I need to answer it because so I wrestle with that a lot, but I have gotten better at just usually usually by 6:00 I shut it off unless it's.
Well, I mean, there's nothing
Most
I can
times,
call you at 6:00 at night that things aren't going to get answered tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
right?
and nowadays it seems like if it's really important, I'll get a text, please call me now, and then I'll call them. But man, Trent, I wish I had a good answer. I'm struggling with that one. I don't do the best at that sometimes. I've always been very. I'm not trying to brag on myself.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's a good thing. I've always had a high drive and ambition. But with that comes sometimes needing to turn it off. But early on in that first year, I know what I would do a lot is in the business insurance realm. When you're growing your book, you're out calling on people a lot. I mean, you talk about a hard gig. Walk into someone's office that wasn't expecting you. They don't want to talk to you, and then you say the word insurance, and it's a bad situation at that point. And that's what you're doing. So. But in my first year, a couple of years, my plan was between 8 and 4:30, be in the field, be out talking to people, just talking to people. But with insurance, there's paperwork too. The paperwork had to be done after hours. So I would come home, meal, family, all that, bed, or get the kids to bed. I have 4 kids. That when I started, I had 3, and then I would go back to work. I work pretty well at night for whatever reason, and so from 9:30 to midnight, just doing the thing, just going to town. And I'll still do that some. I don't have to do it all the time anymore, thankfully. But if there are times where I'll go to the office at 10:00 and I get a lot of good work done then. Because I really get a lot of good work done then. So you have to do it. You have to make sacrifices, like you said.
Well, I don't know if you see the comparison between me and Sean that said he coached his kids in soccer and then get back in the carpet cleaning truck and go clean carpet. Dillon, what you just said too, which most entrepreneurs have to have, is discipline.
Sure. Because
you said from 8 to 9:30 or 10:30 you were calling on people, and that had to be a discipline. And that's hard to do. That is very hard to do.
Especially when people are rude.
Saying no.
Yeah, especially when people are rude, but you can't blame them. So.
But God says that He blesses people that step outside their comfort zone. Was it so comfortable you going into these things? And
No, but I'll tell you, some of my favorite times in insurance are the people, and I can think of the business owners in my mind right now. And if they hear this, they'll know who they are. But there's been business owners I've called on, and just no time at all. And then all of a sudden one day you get an email, hey, I'd like to meet with you. And then you end up becoming their their partner.
Yeah.
And then you become, you know,
friends.
just such a tight, friends and.
But there was that
partners.
consistency,
and those are great.
It's that consistency and discipline of you not taking no for an answer.
Sure.
Right? Most people take that no for an answer and go next.
Well, and I'm big on, I tell people, or even myself, in a lot of the different chapters of my life, I've just decided you have to have a plan. And for me, I've had to say, so when I got an insurance, I have an environmental geology degree.
Oh, wow.
Oddly enough. And I used it for 8 years. Long story short, opportunity to get into insurance made sense, and I made it. But I remember talking to Amber and going, I don't know anything about insurance. Amber being my wife, my wonderful wife. I don't know anything about insurance, but what I decided was, for 2 years, I'm going to do this plan. No matter what. No matter if it's bad, if it's good, I'm just going to do this plan. Things like from 8 to 4:30, I'm going to be in the field. If someone's mean to me, if I have a really bad call, I'm going to go make another call immediately. I'm not going to sulk in it for a while. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
So just things like that. And I'm not going to look at each day. I'm just going to do this for 2 years. And after 2 years, then I'll reflect on the situation if I want to make adjustments. But I think that's really important because we can be very short-sighted. And to really grow something, you're going to have good days and bad days, but you need to have a longer kind of arch to really be able to determine if what you're doing is working or not.
We call that a business plan.
Yeah. There you go.
I mean, it really is. So, you know, the deal is that too, these are things that it seems like it's consistent talk, but it's very important that you have to depend on yourself for the hard work, but you also stepped out in faith.
Sure.
Because there were no guarantees in your journey.
No.
And now you're into it 7 years and you see this as a long-term journey, and it gets easier to make those family commitments as well.
Absolutely.
We did an episode that's already aired about me and Dana and our kids and what they remember, because our kids have never seen us with a 8 to 5 job, but we work all the time.
Yeah.
So it's a little different.
Absolutely.
But we have the flexibility to do things when we want to. And so, you know, if you're wanting to become an entrepreneur, there are things that you're going to have to sacrifice, but you also get rewards in times of when you want to take off as well. Mm-hmm. So it's really a blessing, but it does not come easy.
No.
And people that think it does not.
No.
And unless you know, because we were always worried. I'm sure you had bills when you started in the insurance, and you had to make a certain amount of money to cover those bills.
Sure.
That's why stepping out in faith. You know, guys, I don't know how anybody gets into the entrepreneurship deals, does it without a faith in God. I just don't know, because I have to turn to Him on a daily basis still today. And there's a lot of people that try to overdo their entrepreneurship, and their family is sacrificed. And so, you know, at the end of the day, Dillon, this is a joke, but when my father died, we kind of looked at the casket and we looked at the back, and you know, there was no trailer hitch on that. He couldn't take all that he had done with him. So at the end of the day, it talks about the humility and the pride in the Bible, and that in the wrath, what do all these material things really mean? So it has to be such a balance in life of work, family, faith. Because sure, we can leave all our material belongings to our kids and whoever else, but does it really matter? You know, it's like chasing after the wind, and that's in Ecclesiastes as well. But
yeah, it kind of makes me think about another thing, starting a business, or even for me, when understanding what your why is, as they often say. It's so important. Why am I getting up to go do this? Why am I going to swallow the same pill every day and go and make these calls when some days it's not fun? Why? Well, my wife and my 4 kids. Well, it's my duty, you know, to glorify God. You know, there's all these whys, and they're really important, because if you don't have a why, then the money and all that will only probably go so far, in my opinion. But that's just me, you know. But
I'm gonna talk one more subject, and then we're gonna end.
Well, we've kind of digressed.
No. The subject is somebody came to me again this week, and they were asking about a business situation. I think it was real estate, and I was talking about real estate, and it's always I go back on them about, okay, do you know how, real estate part is easy. That's easy for me. Where I struggled was reading a financial statement, reading a profit and loss statement, a balance sheet. And I said, if you don't keep these records, you're not going to be successful, because if you spend $100,000 on a house of renovations and you sell it for $90,000, then what good is that?
Didn't make sense. Yeah.
Something doesn't make sense. So you need to have these disciplines, and discipline is learning every day about something you don't know, because you can't talk intelligent about that to other people and know if you're doing it right or not.
Sure.
But again, I go to my accountant. It's always good to, that's my other silent partner, right?
Sure.
And say, does this make sense? But at least I can talk with him because I've already done my homework. And I know I don't trust him 1,000%, just like I don't trust you 1,000%. I need to do a little homework on my own as well, so I can be honest with you about what you need to cover with me, right? Sure. So don't think you can hide stuff from your silent partners, because you can't. They're there to help you.
That's a fact.
So in closing, Dillon, tell us about a direction some young entrepreneurs can go. I may answer my own question a little bit and you can expand on it. I think finding the right fit for you in an insurance agent.
Yeah, I would just say from the insurance standpoint, a few things. One is insurance carriers. Man, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but your insurance policy is a contract. I'm an insurance professional, and I have to really pay attention because they're not easy to read.
Absolutely.
I mean, you read it, it says this is covered, then you go down 4 pages and it says except when this happens, and then it goes down 5 pages and it goes, but we'll bring it back, but we're going to exclude it here. And so insurance policies are complicated, they're a contract, and A, taking time to look at them, but B, probably more importantly, finding a partner who's an advisor, someone that's a teacher, like that wants to help you learn and understand, is really important. Not only are the insurance policies complicated and complex, each business is different. Find someone that gives you the sense that they understand your business. If it's a car detail business, pretty straightforward, but if you're starting a machine shop, a restaurant, liquor liability, there's depending on what you're starting up, there can be some intricate coverages that you need someone that kind of understand it, that's maybe insured that type of business before and can help tailor a policy specific to your needs. So yeah, I mean, it's a partnership. Sit down, talk through it. If you call the insurance agent and they're just like, yeah, sure, send me the name of your business, and the next thing you know, you've got a policy, I don't know that I'd trust that.
No.
If you call an insurance agent and they're like, okay, well, tell me about that. Tell me about, okay, well, what do you project in revenue? Okay. They're not asking questions to prod at you. They're asking questions because they want to understand, and chances are it's because they want to best serve you.
Protect you.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I've been through some pretty bad claims. For me, you're putting your livelihood in my hands.
Absolutely.
So when claims happen, I'm like, all right, hope we got this right.
We got this.
Hope we got this right. So that's why it's so important to take the time to sit down, because, man, I take it serious. I want to make sure it's right for when things really go wrong.
And that's a two-way street.
It's a two-way street.
You're going to ask questions at our annual or semi-annual meeting, but I also need to ask questions. And example, all right, Dillon, what has changed by law, or what has changed with the policies that I'm getting that I didn't have last year? For example, a lot of insurance companies now are taking out hail damage or superficial.
Or they're putting a certain deductible for hail damage.
Yes. So things change. The more that the insurance companies are liable, they find ways to not just, you have to be very careful and of what's covered and what's not covered all the time.
All the time.
So that's why you have to even educate yourself on insurance and not always depend on them. But yes, a good one's going to guide you as well.
Absolutely. Sit down, take time, talk through it together. We're all busy, but your insurance, when it's done right, it will take care, it will pay what it's supposed to. Oftentimes where I see frustration is there wasn't time taken on the front end, and so people don't even realize what they're buying. and then when a claim happens, it doesn't go the way they thought it was in their head, but it was a failure on the front end. I don't know if it was both parties, one party, or what, but on the front end there was a failure. And so in my experience also, when people really understand their coverage, then a claim handles, it usually goes pretty smooth because they kind of have an idea of what to expect.
And we could talk about insurance coverages all day long.
Yep.
But one final thing that I will say is that, and I'll give you another shot too, but you know, in all these insurance coverages, I personally take out an umbrella, and you can ask your insurance agent what that is, but if one of my policies doesn't mesh up, and then I'm protected even further. Is it necessary? Maybe not, but I always do it so I can have that extra layer of protection from my insurance company. So those are things that you need to ask and educate yourself on the insurance business as well.
Absolutely. I think I would just, the last thing I would say as far as this, what you're doing, I appreciate you and Dana doing this. It's super helpful, even, I mean, for me, like you said, I'm been in business, but still trying to grow, and I appreciate it. What I would say, you know, I have 2 sons and 2 daughters, and I've worked with a lot of business owners, and a couple of things that I see that the successful ones have in common. One is, like you said, faith. They're willing to jump out there.
Yeah.
Sometimes against maybe when they shouldn't.
I've been
but
told
they're
I'm
willing
crazy
to jump
more
out
than
there.
once, yeah.
Secondly, they're willing to work hard. They're willing to work really hard. If you're willing to jump out there and willing to work hard, I think the sky's the limit. I believe that.
I do too.
And the last thing, oh man, there was one more thing. Oh, have a short memory.
Absolutely.
Because things are going to go bad some days, but you got to just let that go and move forward.
That's one of the things I always told my son in sports.
Absolutely.
Athletes have to have short memories, because if you screw up, you can't do anything about it.
No.
Just fall forward, move on.
I've walked into doors and people are just like, and I'm not even mad at them, but they'll be upset, you know, that I even walked in. I could walk out and be like, my gosh, I can't believe they're so mad at me. Like, well, yeah, just coming in to say hi.
Yeah.
It just dwell on it. Or, that's over, go to the next one. And meet my new best friend.
Absolutely.
So anyways,
short memory.
Short memory.
Well, guys, we hope you learned something today on insurance and how important it is in our everyday business and life, even personally. So, you know, sometimes people start out with their personal insurance coverage, and they will direct you toward a business as well. So, guys, it is so important to have people in your life that you can trust, because you can't do it all on your own. So I'm very blessed to have Dillon on our team, and this is part of the insurance world. So God bless and thank you.
Thank you.